Hey everybody! So I am live to answer your questions. There are currently 185 questions just in the last couple of hours since I asked you what it is that you struggle with when it comes to essential oils. So I am going to be walking through all of these questions and giving you guys answers as well. And I actually should see if there's a way, yes, there's a way that I can check for comments right here. Just give me a moment. I'm going to see how I can find the comments listed. Hey, oh good. I'm glad you commented. Thank you so much, Joyce, because now that popped up and I am able to type to you as well. So I am just going to go through some of these questions that you guys have had, and those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, is that huge thread, the things that you guys are struggling with when it comes to essential oils. So hopefully my answering those of you who answered will also help answer the questions for those of you here live right now too. So Sonia asked a question, and I haven't pre-read most of these. I'm just kind of going through them in order. How to use them safely now that I have a cat. At this point, I'm not using them at all. So there are ways that you can use essential oils around your cats. And that is if you are diffusing in a room that they are not in, if you are using an aroma pendant with a drop of essential oil in it, and they are not right in your arms. And you can also use a personal inhaler. There is some information that I'm going to link you to right there using eossafely.com/safecats that gives you more information. Basically, my stance as a certified clinical aromatherapist is that you do not expose your cats to essential oils. Their liver lacks the enzyme needed to break those down and metabolize them, and it's just not worth the risk in my opinion. If you choose to do otherwise, then that is fine. That is your choice totally, but that is my opinion as far as cats are concerned. And that is also how to use them safely. Let me see if I can actually tag in here as well. Okay, so I can't actually tag her in that. Jenna is saying that her biggest struggle is overwhelming information, contradicting information on different resources. That is a very great common struggle. Someone mentioned looking at reputable resources, which is a great suggestion. It can be hard. I would say look to see what kind of person or company is providing the information. If they are a company that sells essential oils, they may be slightly biased, especially if they don't have any aromatherapists that give them advice. If they're simply aromatherapists trying to educate people like myself, I don't make money if you purchase essential oils. I don't make money if you don't. That is not anything that has anything to do with me. So my job is to provide safe information and help you to use essential oils safely. So just be careful on the source when it comes to information. And if you're ever confused and you have any questions, wondering what's up with different things that you are hearing, that's what this group is for. Post in this group and we will help you answer that question. Andrea asked about diffusing times. So as a general rule, we suggest intermittent diffusing. And specifically, that is diffusing 10 minutes on and 20 minutes off. And my favorite diffuser, which is the Jasmine diffuser, is the only one that has this function. And what is really great about this is you don't get that olfactory fatigue that you can get. And I do remember as I scanned a few of these comments about an hour ago, somebody mentioning, how can I get the diffuser smell to last more than 15 minutes? It's actually not the diffuser's problem at that point. It's olfactory fatigue kicking in. This is how, when you are smelling a dead skunk in your yard, how after a few minutes, sometimes 2 or 3 or 5 or sometimes 10, you don't notice the smell anymore. Whereas someone just arriving at your house is like, oh my God, how are you still breathing? Because olfactory fatigue kicks in and it pretty much shuts off your brain's ability to acknowledge that aroma. It's a protecting thing. So the same way it goes with diffusing essential oils. Your brain's going to be pretty much like, okay, I've had enough, the therapeutic benefit, I got that, I'm doing with it what you need to do, I don't need to any longer smell that smell. So when you stop that smell, say you run it for 10 minutes on, you shut it off for 20 minutes, then you blast it again for 10 more minutes, then your body has a chance to recognize it again, and then it can be more therapeutic. Because it's like, oh, that again, yeah, let's kick that into gear and help focus again. So that is why I suggest diffusing times to be 10 minutes on, 20 minutes off, because you really don't need more than that at a time. Brandy is saying being afraid of them. So that is what this group is about. Do not be afraid to use your essential oils. And we do have resources over on our resource website, ebooks and apps full of information so that you can be comfortable using your essential oils. Another thing I want to mention, I'm going to be providing my email address here for those of you who are interested in my course that I only offer a couple of times a year. So it's been closed for a couple of months now, and I told you guys come fall or by the end of the year, I would be re-releasing it. So that is something I plan to do. If you want to make sure that you are on that list of people that will be notified, shoot me an email at usingeossafely@gmail.com and I will make sure that you get a spot. Okay, there will be limited spots. I don't like huge groups. I like smaller groups so that we can all work together and I can hold your hand and walk you through all of the steps that you need to take to go from beginner to confident user so that you are comfortable using your essential oils and not being afraid of them. Tanya is saying how to convince others that they are effective yet insist on safety. It's got to be all or none with essential oils. Let me see if I can understand what she means. Okay, how to convince others they're effective yet insist on safety. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Essential oils, they are effective. They have therapeutic properties. They have benefits as well. But you also have to understand that they do have safety issues too. I mean, just like anything in life. Water, for instance. Water is great. Everybody should be drinking water on a daily basis. But 3 gallons of water at once is probably not the best idea. Alyssa says her struggle when it comes to essential oils is being able to diffuse them safely while having 3 dogs, a cat, and a fish. Essential oils, lavender, citrus, and eucalyptus. So like I mentioned earlier when I answered the first question about cats, is you can use them in your aroma pendant or aroma jewelry. You can add essential oils to your personal inhaler that you carry with you and you just breathe right out of it. You don't have to carry it around with you, but I'm saying you can slip it right into your purse, in your pocket. It's something that only you are inhaling. So if you have eucalyptus and you have children in your home under the age of 10, you simply take the cap off, you inhale, and it's only affecting your personal space. Whereas diffusing in a room that your littles are in, it could affect them adversely. As far as pets go, if you are diffusing in a room that your pets are not present, then that is totally fine. Just make sure you are not diffusing in the same room, especially if it's right next to them, and that's going to expose them. Now, dogs can actually be exposed to some essential oils, and there is my link for dogs and information with essential oils and dogs, so that you can know which essential oils are actually safe to use around dogs, and then you can diffuse around dogs. With fish, they're smaller, they're just like birds, they're a little bit more sensitive. I would be very careful. Terry's saying she has a similar problem. I often go to bed early to read and put on my diffuser, then not 10 minutes later on, it will amble my cat and proceeds to cuddle on the bed. I turn it off as I am concerned of the effect in a small room. There are so many different views on safety. Are any proven or just opinions? So the main consensus is that, I was just thinking I should probably close this thread because this will be forever with questions. The main consensus is yes. Cats do lack the enzyme in their liver to process and metabolize essential oils. That being said, there have been a few people in this group who have claimed that they have diffused around their cat for several weeks, several months at a time, and their cat has not shown any signs of adverse effects, whereas others of you, in fact, quite a few more of you, have stated that diffusing around your cat, even for just a couple of weeks, you've had to put your cat down. So that is something that you personally have to decide for yourself, but I am not willing to say, yeah, let's go ahead and risk it. That's just not something I am comfortable with. Okay, there is a theory that if your cats can leave the room, that they're going to be smart enough to leave the room, and otherwise they're safe to stay in the room, but I'm not comfortable with that opinion either. Okay. So there's a couple comments here. Do I have a recipe for foaming hand soap? I do not have a recipe published on my blog for foaming hand soap, but I would suggest looking on Mummypotamus's website to check for that. Lisa's saying her challenge is how often to use to get effective results. Some things seem to need regular use for effectiveness. Some are effective on first use. Absolutely. So how often you use is something that we do review in the course, and it's going to depend on what the issue is. So if you could be more specific with me and let me know exactly what issue you are trying to address, what essential oil you are trying to use, and in which way, I can let you know if that is the most effective way. And Wesley is asking, can I use on my pillow? You can. I prefer to use essential oils to make linen sprays and spritz those on your pillow. You can also use hydrosols, and that is something that you can do absolutely. Dana's saying, what is safe to use when pregnant? I can't find the information. We do have a post on our website about pregnancy, so I'm going to list it for you right there. Leanne is saying her struggle is being addicted to essential oils. Jessica is saying buying too many. Carrie is saying not having enough funds to purchase more. Keisha, the ignorance of others and their lack of care to know better because their company rep says it is okay. So that is something that is prevalent. Unfortunately, most companies don't actually have interest in educating their reps. I actually this past weekend spent some time at the Lemongrass Spa conference, and those of you who have known me for several years know that I joined Lemongrass Spa as a consultant 5 years ago, and 2 years ago they started offering essential oils as well. This is something I don't make public. I don't mention it very often. I'm not really comfortable with that association, simply because I don't want you guys purchasing those essential oils just because I happen to be with a company that I joined before they offered essential oils. But for those of you who are interested, it is a direct sales company that has hired me to give them information and inform their consultants of safety. I was just there at the conference and I taught a whole room full of consultants about essential oil safety so that their reps are actually informed. And that company actually does care to share the safety information with their customers. They do offer eucalyptus essential oil, and they only recommend using it under age 10, so they do follow my guidelines on all of that. So there are companies out there who do care, but unfortunately, many of them don't. They are simply interested in sales, not interested so much in safety. And Lemongrass Spa started, and it's primarily a makeup and personal body care type of company. Essential oils is not their primary focus. There's a lot of people that commented under there, and a lot of them do encourage ingestion. A lot of reps of various companies do, and that is not something that I personally recommend. There's a lot of risks associated with ingestion. It can burden the liver, it can burden the kidneys, it can hurt going down because essential oils don't mix with the water. Often lemon essential oil is encouraged to add to the water and drink it, and that can irritate the insides. insides, it's just a bad idea, but it is a way to get people to consume essential oils and, promote sales. Keisha said, my first introduction to essential oils was a rep rubbing neat peppermint on my 6-month-old without even asking. Had I known then what I know now, I probably would have sucker punched her. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Okay, so there's just a lot of similar comments. I'm going to skip to a new question, but first of all, let me go ahead and some of you were commenting. So Lisa's saying oils for weight loss. So here's the thing. I do not personally recommend using essential oils for weight loss. Now, a lot of, if you are using the blend that I think you are using, it is not meant to be consumed. Yes, the reps will tell you you have to consume this for weight loss, but it actually goes back to a study on grapefruit essential oil where inhalation can be effective. It can stimulate metabolism and can make you feel hungry. It can make things go faster, your metabolism speed up, which for me personally, I already have a fast metabolism. So it actually makes me hungry, which makes me want to eat more. So you have to be careful to find if inhaling grapefruit essential oil for you, if that is something that does curb your appetite or if it stimulates your appetite. But I would not recommend ingesting those essential oils. It's probably like grapefruit and other ones to help with weight loss. But you can try inhaling grapefruit essential oil. And you can do that several times a day if that works for you. Different Lisa, if you were using oil on a cold sore, should you dilute it? You don't have to dilute it. My recipe is 1 drop of sandalwood essential oil and 1 drop of tea tree essential oil on a Q-tip or a cotton swab, and then dabbing that right on your cold sore. Most of the drops will be right on that cotton swab, so when you apply it directly to that, it's a virus, so when you apply it directly to that virus, don't smear it all around your face, but just get it right on there. It's super effective for killing and drying it up. You are only getting a fraction of a drop on it. If you would like to first put a little bit of carrier on top, then apply the essential oil or mix it in a 50-50 dilution, you can do that. But this is one situation where using essential oils without diluting is totally fine. Let me give you that link. I think it is cold sore. Alyssa saying, discouraged after MLM explosion. Used to love my oils. Now they seem overpopularized and I'm frustrated that the oils company I used to buy from canceled my membership because I did not order frequently. I am sorry to hear that. Lisa, oils used for pain need to use as needed, correct? How many times a day to use oils for weight loss? How often to use inhaler safety? Sensitizing is a concern. So sensitization is a topical skin issue. It is not something that's going to be a problem if you inhale. So inhaling for weight loss, say 3 times a day. For pain, definitely as needed. If, depending on the type of pain, you are probably using, say if it's a muscle pain, you are probably using about a 5% dilution, possibly 10, possibly 20, depending on the pain. And that is something that you may need to apply once a day. It may be something you need to apply 2 or 3 times a day. And that will totally depend on what the pain is and the dilution that you are using, if that is high enough to be effective enough for a longer time. So for instance, if you are using a 1% dilution on an ankle sprain, you're probably going to have to keep applying it. It's probably not going to do a whole lot. Whereas if you used a 5% or a 10% dilution, maybe one application could last you at least most of the day. So just play around with it. Go with a lower dilution first. For pain, I pretty much advise starting at 5% because you can always add essential oils. Shelly, yes. So the company is Lemongrass Spa. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the link here. And so the makeup you see, Lemongrass Spa. I've been using their mascara, their eyeshadow, their brow pomade, which adds a little bit of definition on the eyebrows, shampoos and soaps, and on and on and on and on and on for several years. Absolutely love it. And they are, in fact, the ingredients are safe enough. I would eat them or drink them. I mean, they're that safe, and they work too. Shelley said, I went to a thing last night and they still were very determined that ingestion was okay. Well, I would love to see their studies proving over a length of time that it did not cause anybody harm, but unfortunately there aren't any. So when people say, well, I want proof that it's harmful, I say, I want proof that it's not harmful. Why don't you prove to me that it's safe? I am not willing to risk my insides when it's already been proven that essential oils are concentrated. We know this. And if a couple of drops of lemon essential oil can eat away at a label or eat away at the grease in your oven and strip away, the scum in your refrigerator or your bathtub, and you want to drink that and you think that it's not going to cause any redness, irritation, it's not going to strip the mucus lining from your esophagus or eat away at your stomach, that just doesn't make sense to me. So I personally am not going to be a guinea pig. Paige is saying her biggest struggle when it comes to essential oils is knowing what is safe to use while pregnant, what she can use when her twins arrive this fall in common areas like the living room. So I'm going to give you 2 links for that. The pregnancy link that I did share earlier, and then also the link for children as well, so that you know what is safe to expose to your children. However, I must say, as a general rule, I do recommend not diffusing around children under the age of 6 months or applying topically under the age of 2, unless it's an emergency like your 1-year-old got stung by a bee. Absolutely use the essential oils. It's just their immune systems are really not developed yet. Their lungs are very small, and you just want to be super careful. Shelley's saying they gave me peppermint beadlets. I am scared to use them. Very good point, Leah. Well, okay, so there's 2 situations in which I would say ingestion could be safe. And number 1 could be using peppermint essential oil along with a carrier in a capsule or a beadlet, as long as it's enteric coated and can get through the stomach into the lower intestine, and that would be for IBS. Second, lavender essential oil can be useful, 1 or 2 drops mixed with a carrier in a capsule, not enteric coated. It can be released in the stomach for severe anxiety. I'm hoping that you've tried other remedies first, even a cup of peppermint tea, herbal tea, that can help a lot of people. IBS can be helped with herbs, but those are 2 situations in which I am comfortable that some people can actually ingest essential oils and have a positive result, where it's worth the risk involved to get that result, especially if all else has failed. But if you have GERD or other things, peppermint may not be the best for you either. What do I recommend for sleeping? So I have some recipes over here on my sedative essential oils page, and that will give you some essential oils that I suggest for sleeping, as well as 2 different recipes you can try and different ways that you can use those essential oils. Okay, so going through the list of what your biggest struggle is when it comes to essential oils from the other post, Taylor is asking what is good for what and how to use it properly. For instance, whether or not lavender interferes with estrogen. I have heard back and forth, so now averse to using it topically. So there are no hormones in essential oils, and there is no estrogen in lavender. And this has been debunked by Tisserand and others, that the Petri dishes that were used contained BPA, which is estrogenic, and that seemed to be the common thread. It wasn't the essential oil, it was actually what they used to hold the essential oils in. But there's been nothing that I can see that's definitive that shows a link between lavender essential oil or even tea tree essential oil and breast developing on boys or whatever. So that is totally a myth. As far as what essential oils are good for, my Essential Oil Profiles book, ebook, or app can give you that information. So what it does is it shows you on one side the safety information, and then it shows you on the other side the therapeutic properties and the benefits by body system, so that you can easily tell what the essential oils are good for. And then I do have bonus sections back here on carriers, on diluting with charts in here as well. Sections on children, pregnancy, breastfeeding, dogs, and cats. And you can find more information over at eopbook.com. I should have about 24 print books, just like this, spiral bound, full color print books that I will sign, arriving this week. There's only a couple of dozen, and many of them are actually spoken for. So those of you who pre-ordered that, you will be the first ones to get that, and the rest of you will have to wait a little bit. But there should be enough for a few more orders, but not too many. Lisa's saying, top middle base notes for making blends. This is not easy as it sounds. I have the blend ratios, but harder to create blends. So here's the thing with notes, and this is something too that I do go over in my course. If you guys do join me next month or in October for that course, I do go over talking all about notes. So notes is it's more important when you are making like more of a perfume or an essential oil where the aroma is really the factor. But I like to create recipes by therapeutic value so that it's more effective. I care a little bit less how it smells than if it's going to work. So all of my recipes that you find over on freeeoclass.com, those are all number one priority is effectiveness. And I can just so happen to also make them smell good too. So as far as the notes are concerned, it's nice to keep in mind. The base notes are going to be heavier. You will need less of those. Base notes being like sandalwood and cedarwood. Top notes, you will need more to balance it out. So top notes being like lemon and the citrus ones generally, or the floral ones like geranium. So for example, if you have 20 drops of sandalwood and if you have 20 drops of lemon mixed together, you are actually going to smell way more sandalwood when you inhale that blend. It will make it seem like you have about 30 to 35 drops of sandalwood and only 5 or 10 drops of lemon essential oil. So that's how much more powerful base notes are. But don't worry too much about that. I mean, it's good to keep that kind of in mind, but that should never be your primary focus. Shelly's asking a question, can you tell me more about severe anxiety solutions? Yes, so I do have a link about anxiety that I will give you right there. Elizabeth is asking for the price of the book. So this is $57.95 for the print version. The ebook version is $27.95. Now the ebook version, if you went to take it to Office Max like I did, this is what I did with my ebook version before I got them printed. And if you notice, this is not in color. This cost me $30 just for a non-color version. They did do the cover in color, and they did do the diluting charts in color. So that was maybe 8 pages. So this is worth $57.95. But instead, you can get a full color version, which they were going to charge me $130 for just the $57.95. So there's the print version, there's the ebook version, which you can, open on your tablet, you can print it out yourself at home, and then there is the app version, which I'm going to show you really quickly right here. Basically, I use Evernote and I share my notebook with you. And then you have like this so that you can search really quickly, you can pull up all the different information and profiles. And all 3 versions have the same information, except the ebook and print versions do have these bonus sections included on diluting, carriers, children, pregnancy, breastfeeding, dogs, and cats. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. But you can find all of that information over on eopbook.com. Do I really need to unsubscribe to old email and subscribe to the new email? Sorry, been out of the loop. Yes, because that big email list, I had so many people on it and very few were actually opening it. I'm not sure if it was getting stuck somewhere. So what I've done is I've stopped emailing that group and I've just started emailing the smaller group. And in hopes that you guys would open it more and it would get a more view rate. And I'm still finding from some of you that it's getting stuck. You can't find it. So I do need to talk to GoDaddy about that to see why that would be, because that really doesn't make any sense. But, I was paying, a lot of money per year to have so many subscribers, and most of them weren't even participating in the emails or opening them. So it's like, why am I paying all of this money when nobody's reading them? Right? Makes sense? Okay. So the next person who commented on the what I'm struggling with when it comes to essential oils is Angela saying, I think the use of them causes irregular bleeding. Any studies on plant estrogens and essential oils? So no. So essential oils do not contain hormones, they do not contain estrogens, and they should not be causing irregular or even regular bleeding. Lisa's saying getting them to smell longer than 15 minutes. So this goes back to earlier when I was mentioning that about olfactory fatigue, that your body will kind of shut off aromas. If you smell them for longer than 5, 10, 15 minutes, your body kind of shuts it off. That's called olfactory fatigue. So that is just how your body works. You don't really need to diffuse longer than about 10 minutes at a time. Is lavender really safe to diffuse in a nursery? There are so many different answers. So that, Amanda, depends on the age of your child. So a couple of things. Over age 6 months, you can generally start introducing diffusing. I personally prefer, especially at those ages, to use hydrosols instead. And it's a really great idea to use lavender hydrosol, spritz it on their pillow or bedding. Clearly, if they're a few months old, they're not going to be using a pillow, but just maybe on the mattress, on the sheet of the mattress. You can use lavender essential oil, spritz it around. It can help calm them without being too overwhelming. So it kind of depends. It's not really unsafe to diffuse over age 6 months. It's just maybe a little bit better to use that hydrosol instead. And somebody mentioned eucalyptus. I would definitely avoid eucalyptus under age 10. What is the email address to send my email to, please? Yes, so using ussafely@gmail.com. And this is the email you want to use if you want to be sure to be first in line when I release my course. I have limited seats. I want a small group. Not everybody will get in. And this will be the last time I offer it this year. And I will open it sometime in September, possibly October. Okay? So make sure that you email me so that you are the first to be notified. And those who are the first to be notified may get something special from me too. Brenda would like to know proper dilutions. So if you go over to our website and follow that link, you can find lots of information on diluting. And that information is also included in our book, in my book, I should say. And so you have a whole section on diluting essential oils, answers all of these questions, why you want to dilute, etc. It also includes general guidelines, diluting by age group, and it includes all of these color charts too. So all of these beautiful charts so that you can know how many drops to add to a roller bottle of 3 various sizes or 2 ounces of carrier. And then it has this handy chart in here as well. I love hydrosols. Just discovered them 2 months ago. They are awesome. I love hydrosols as well. I actually like to use it on my face in the evenings after I cleanse my face. I like to spritz hydrosol on top and then add a moisturizer or even an oil like rosehip. Absolutely love hydrosols. Amy is saying, I've been overwhelmed since day one because of all the conflicting opinions. I have read, watched videos, talked and listened to people. It's hard to know who is right. I would like to know what your question is specifically. Hard to know who is right about what? About what? Haley, all the ones I want to use can be harmful to my 3 boys, 2 dogs, and 1 cat. Maybe, but there are actually lots of essential oils that are safe for children and dogs as well. I do recommend, like I mentioned, the very first thing that I addressed, I do recommend avoiding essential oils around cats. They lack the enzyme needed to metabolize the essential oils, and I do have that in the cats section, but there are lots of essential oils that can be used around dogs, and I do have those listed right here in the group, in the book, sorry. So, a couple of pages here, a couple of pages here, and then as for children, so what I did is of these 60 profiles, I actually pulled out all the ones that were safe for dogs and listed them there. And then I also pulled out all of the ones that were safe for children, and I listed them back here so that it would be easy for you. And I do have the essential oils to avoid as well. So here's a whole bunch safe for children, and a lot of the ones that are safe for children are safe for dogs. It doesn't mean that everyone that's safe for children is safe for dogs, but there's a ton. There's a ton in here. Would goat milk lotion be a good carrier for essential oil? That would be fine. In fact, I love using lotion as a carrier. It's less greasy, it's more easily absorbed. I love using lotions. Elizabeth, do you ever diffuse hydrosols? Nope, that's really not the best way. Hydrosols are best used spritzed directly on the skin. Not that you can't, but it's kind of a waste. You won't be able to smell it, and they're not the cheapest things either, so I prefer to use mine just directly on my skin because that is something you can't do with essential oils. So Christina's biggest challenge when it comes to essential oils is the max dermal rates and contradicting information. So the diluting link that I just gave you and the information I showed you from the book, those are my recommendations. They're based on Robert Tisserand's recommendations in his book, Essential Oil Safety. Now, he suggests half drops. So for like a 1% dilution, he suggests 1.5 drops. So to make it easier for those of us who can't do half drops, I rounded down to 1%. So that is what all of my dilution guidelines are based on, and that is also the dilution guidelines that my teacher, Andrea from Aromahead Institute, also uses. There may be some companies that may round up to maybe 2% instead, or I should say 2 drops. 2 drops instead of the one that I suggest, which could be maybe why there's a little bit of contrary information. Dawn is saying which ones to safely use around children. So I did mention that link a moment ago, but I'm going to go ahead and type that in again. And that is a section in my book as well. The essential oil profiles. I have all that information here too, so that you can know which essential oils are safe to use with your children. Let's see. Lisa's biggest struggle, and this was funny because it was a meme. There's a skeleton sitting there on the bench, and it says, waiting for vetiver to come out of the bottle. That is quite funny because any of you who have vetiver essential oil, you know it is very thick. It is a resin, and it takes absolutely forever to come out of the bottle, and it is actually one of the essential oils that I don't refrigerate because that makes the issue worse. Fortunately, vetiver is one of the essential oils that does have a long shelf life. So you really don't need to refrigerate it. Melody's biggest struggle when it comes to essential oils, and for those of you just hopping in, I'm reading this from that question I posted a few hours ago in the group that has gotten out of control, which is actually out of control in kind of a good way. You guys are asking questions left and right. Melody is saying, annoyance at all the people promoting unsafe usage because their company is pure. Also, people diffusing and using oils in public. Did you ask everyone around you if they also wanted to be essential medicated the way you're medicating yourself? And that is a great point. You do want to be very careful when you are using essential oils on the airplane, in the park, at Panera, wherever that you are using them. You want to make sure that you are not exposing people who may either be sensitive to the aromas or may have an interaction with the essential oil. You want to be very careful in a public space. As far as people promoting unsafe usage because their company is pure, let's remind everyone that essential oils work. The purest essential oils work, and if they really are pure, they are going to be the ones that are not only effective, but also possibly have those adverse reactions because of the constituents in their essential oils. Now, side note, I heard from somebody who told me that they were at a party, and the woman who hosted the party was saying peppermint was fine for all ages because her brand is pure. And so the woman who's in our group that was at the party asked her and said, well, but peppermint, even pure peppermint, has menthol in it. And menthol is a thing that can cause breathing issues or labored breathing in children under the age of 6. So she said, oh, well, if menthol is a problem, then we don't have any more menthol. We don't have any menthol in our brands, in our peppermint. We have no menthol at all. It's like, okay, I get trying to say that your brand is safe, I guess, because, who's going to say my brand is unsafe, right? But if your peppermint doesn't have menthol, then it's not peppermint. And in which case, then it's not pure. So, it goes both ways. There are some essential oils that have really great benefits, but they also have some cautions associated with them. You want to be careful. Water is great for us to consume, but, also people drown in water and die. So you have to use it properly. You have to understand the pros and cons to being around water. So you just have to be very careful. So that's my 2 cents on pure. Pure does not mean safe. Pure, pure arsenic is not safe. That is not cool. Recommendations to use essential oils in infants and babies. Not comfortable with that. So somebody's saying MLM companies use bigger orifice reducers in their bottles. That's very possible. I think the companies that round up in drops for dilutions might use smaller orifice reducers. Well, see, that's the other thing, and that's something I was going to mention earlier, but I did not want to add to the confusion. But yes, there are different size orifice reducers. So 1 drop out of one company's bottle may actually be 1.5 or 2 drops out of another company's bottle. So there's also that. Lisa's saying one resource claims neem oil is a carrier, another as an essential oil. Neem oil is a carrier. It's thick and has to be warmed to use, which is it, an essential oil or a carrier? Now it's possible they are actually making a neem essential oil, but as far as I'm concerned, when I see neem, it's a carrier. It is thick and pasty. It is sticky. It is an oil. It is not an essential oil. Marcy's saying her biggest struggle is knowing what she can diffuse around her younger children. So again, I want to point you to this link, and that will give you some information. Connie's saying her biggest struggle is money to buy more. Laurel is asking for any studies on long-term use and all the conflicting information. There are some studies on long-term use, and that is what this book, Essential Oil, is based off. This is based off of over 4,000 citations from medical journals and people using them short-term and long-term. Kate is saying finding skincare that does not contain them because they have become so popular. It is true. They're in supplements now. They're in drinks. You have vitamins. They're in skincare products. And you have to be careful because, number one, the company needs to be aware that essential oils can be overused, and they need to acknowledge that a 1% dilution or less is best for the face. There's so many things to keep in mind when you use essential oils in skincare products, and you have to understand that some people are sensitive to certain essential oils or simply cannot use them if they're using medications. So I think it's best that unless the company is aware of what to do and how to use them, but also better safe than sorry, maybe to avoid using essential oils in skincare products and letting people add their own as needed. I like adding essential oils to my moisturizer or lotion or other skincare products. I make my own liquid foundation from a high quality mineral powder foundation, and I mix it with a high quality organic lotion, and I mix the two together. Sometimes I will throw in some eyeshadow colors in there to just make my own kind of shade, and I will add essential oils to those. But that is my, that is what I can do. That is my choice. And I'm aware of how much essential oil that I can use. And sometimes I will whip it up and I won't put any in. It just depends. Elizabeth, medication interactions with essential oils is hard to find information on. It is hard to find information on. We do have a file in this group, and the information is also contained in essential oil safety as well, which is a huge resource of information. So let me go ahead and give you a link to that as well so that you can check out a preview on Amazon and see if that is something that you are interested in purchasing. Amanda, how is bergaptan-free bergamot achieved without altering the purity of the essential oil? So the furanocoumarins are removed from the essential oil. So it's technically not a pure, undiluted, or it's actually a rectified essential oil. It can still be high quality, but they are removing it so it's safer. Just like bitter almond essential oil, they removed, what was it that they removed from that? They rectified it to make it non-poisonous. So in some instances, that is something that they can do, and that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing. And just like lemon essential oil, steam distilled version is not phototoxic, but the cold pressed is. Same with bergamot, the steam distilled is safe as far as phototoxicity is concerned, where the cold pressed is not. Michelle, what if any essential oil could be used in a DIY lip balm? Oh, what if any? I've had recipes. I had a recipe on my old website that is no longer up, where I added peppermint. You have to go easy because you don't want to burn your lips, so you have to be careful with that. As well as orange. You can use, because orange isn't phototoxic, whereas lemon and lime can be. You can use vanilla. You can use, what else would be a good one? Those are the ones that I use. There's actually a chocolate or a cocoa essential oil that you could use too. If you use cocoa butter, that would also give a little bit of a chocolate flavoring as well. I guess those are the ones that come off the top of my head as far as different ones that you can use in lip balms. You just have to be really careful about the dilution. You want to be under 1% for sure when it comes to lips, and maybe even less than that if it's a phototoxic essential oil. Generally, I'm saying probably not more than 1 drop of essential oil per tube, and I think when I made mine, it was even less than that, so you have to be careful. You are welcome, Amanda. So Ray is like, my biggest struggle is using my stash. So you need to find some good recipes. But here's the other thing. You don't really want to overuse them. You just don't. I don't diffuse on a daily basis. I don't use essential oils on a daily basis. I'm not always slathering them all over my skin or diffusing them or inhaling them. You just don't need to do that. I prefer to use essential oils as needed, and that is what I recommend for you as well. I thought lime was not phototoxic. Oh, it absolutely is. The cold pressed lime is phototoxic. So let me go ahead and give you the link. Toxic US so that you can read more about it. Okay. Erica's asking how to dilute them correctly, which we already went over, but it's been a few minutes. Let me go ahead and throw that link up again. What is safe and unsafe when it comes to breastfeeding? I have a page for that as well. And she asked for children and pets. So I'm going to go with safe dogs and safe cats. And all of that information is in the bonus section of my Essential Oil Profiles resources right here. And let me give that link one more time too. Alrighty, so Megan's saying, I stress over this. After talking with my doctor and doing my own research, I've personally chosen not to use any while pregnant. I am due in December, and I want to start learning about what I can start using again postpartum, but safely while breastfeeding and having a baby in the house. So, alright. That is good. I mean, if you want to avoid them, if you want to err on the side of caution and avoid them, you can, but there are essential oils that are safe. There are essential oils that are fine to use, that have been proven fine to use during pregnancy, during breastfeeding, and around your children. So don't be afraid to use them as long as you know. If you don't know, great, don't use them because you could use something that you shouldn't be using. Hot oils and cold oils. Let's see. So what people generally refer to as hot oils would be things like clove essential oil, things like oregano or ginger, essential oils that kind of draw heat or promote circulation in that area. They also tend to be quite irritant. Ginger, not so much, but oregano and clove and cinnamon, they tend to be quite irritant. So you want to be very careful. And that's kind of why the blood supply goes there, and it does stimulate the circulation. As far as cooling essential oils, those would be, peppermint is cooling. Eucalyptus can be cooling. Firs can be fir, pine, spruce. Those can be cooling as well. Alrighty. So Tina says her biggest struggle when it comes to essential oils is being told they are the cure-all. People seem to use them to make them up and tired, to heal cancer and heart disease. I've just started using oils this past winter, and I'm grateful for them and feel they have their place. They have helped us through a horrible flu and have helped us with skin issues, but I'm very wary of people and their long-term use of them. Yes, and I will be the first to say that essential oils are awesome, but they are not the be-all, end-all. Sometimes herbs are best, sometimes hydrosols are best, sometimes supplements, vitamins are best, sometimes diet changes are best, exercise is best, sunshine is best. Essential oils are one of the tools that can be used for people's personal care, health. It's just one of the tools in the toolbox. And it's great for some things and not as good for others. Gemma is saying her biggest struggle is safety. How much is too much to use in your daily life? Worried about overdose or overusage that could cause side effects. Not everyone can use essential oils. And there's other comments. I don't use essential oils anymore unless I have an issue because I'm worried about the same thing. Gemma saying I use them in my skincare, cleaning, and only diffuse on weekends. They're also expensive not to use, so this is what I'm researching at the moment. So that is how I use essential oils, as needed. I don't run diffusers in every room of the house 24/7. It's a waste of essential oils, and it's really overdoing it. Just use them as needed. If your child is sick, you can diffuse in the room intermittently. If they were sick in their room all night, you can run a diffuser after they've gotten up and they're not in their room. Run the diffuser all day then. That's totally fine. If you have skincare issues, absolutely use essential oils in it. But I would recommend not just using them just because or trying to find ways to use them. Use them with intent and purpose, because you don't want to get to a point where you need something and the essential oils aren't working for you because you're using them all the time. I mean, you can get sensitized to them if you use too high a dilution for too long. So you just want to be very careful. You are welcome. Good night, Lisa. Karen is saying her biggest struggle is all the underqualified and misinformed people promoting ingestion. Amen to that. Amen to that. Melissa is saying her biggest struggle is knowing what sources to trust. So we touched on this earlier. I would say look at the source. Are they a business making money off the more essential oils you buy? Or are they simply trying to educate you in the safe use of essential oils? There is a difference. I will tell you all day long that I love essential oils, but they are not for everything. And if I'm telling you, oh, helichrysum is so great for bruising, I'm not selling essential oils. So I really don't care if you buy essential oils or not. I am more interested in making sure that you use them safely. That is my passion and that is my goal. Alrighty. I just want nice labels that stay out. Finding labels that are easy to make and stay on the bottles. So River Tree Life has some really great labels. You can find them at rivertreelife.com as well as on Amazon. They have some really great labels I absolutely love. Let's see. Children with asthma, is there anything I should avoid? I'm going to go ahead and point you to this post because the thing with asthma is some essential oils can be helpful, and the same essential oils that are helpful to some people can actually be harmful to others. So you have to be really careful with that. And I'm not going to make that decision for you. So I'm going to go ahead and give you that link so that you can read for yourself. Another woman who wants to know what's safe for breastfeeding and for baby and for cats. So Anna's biggest struggle is when the essential oils go rancid. She's like, I don't know if rancid is the right word, but yes, they go bad. So they do oxidize. Essential oils do have a shelf life. They do oxidize. Let me go ahead and give you that link as well. And that has to do with oxygen exposure. So if you are opening your bottle every day to give it a whiff, or every few hours to give it a whiff, and you're opening it, and then you're putting the cap back on, that bottle is going to oxidize much more quickly than if you open it once, add your drops to a personal inhaler, close up the bottle, and then use your inhaler for several months. That will help your essential oil bottle last longer, as well as refrigerating will help it last longer. Most essential oils last at least 1 year. Many of them last 2, and some of them last up to 6 or 8 years, depending. So that link that I gave you using eossafely.com/shelf life will give you more information about that. Yeah, so it is a common thing that certain companies will claim is their essential oils last forever, probably due to the fact that their essential oils are really expensive. And they just want you to feel better about your really expensive purchase, because you're like, well, if I don't use this, all up in a year, if it takes me a lifetime to use it up, that's okay. I'm not wasting any because it's going to last forever, when that's not exactly true. Is it easy to tell if an essential oil has oxidized or gone rancid? So yeah, oxidizing is the key word. Rancid is more for carrier oils. And there are ways you can tell, and it is on that shelf life link. But if you are familiar with the aroma, and you notice that it smells off, that is probably due to oxidation. If you use it topically and you dilute it properly and there's never been issues, and then you find that you're applying it one day and it's making your skin a little bit red and irritated, like my mom did with her 6-year-old bottle of tea tree essential oil she used on my grandma, then it's oxidized. So there's a few tips in that link, the /shelf life link. What essential oils are safe for babies? So if we are talking under 6 months, I would say avoid. Over 6 months, you can start diffusing, and over 2 years, you can start using topically. There are some exceptions. If your 1-year-old has a bug bite or a bee sting, it's okay to use the essential oils on them, but those are the general rules. And there's a link for you so that you can see which essential oils are safe and not safe for your child. And I do have a section in my book as well that lists those essential oils too. So let me give you a little bit of a peek. So these are some of the essential oils to avoid with children. And I let you know exactly why, what the risks are. So there are a few there. And then here are some that are safe. And this is based on the 60 essential oils that I profile in this book. Amanda saying, one source says their shelf life begins once the bottle is first opened. Is this true for all brands? Well, technically, you could go by that, but you also have to factor in so many things. There's just so many things to factor. So you have to factor in, okay, let's talk about lavender. So when the lavender was harvested, how long did those lavender plants sit around before becoming distilled? And this more points to the quality, I would say. And then once it was distilled, how long did it sit around in the open containers before it was bottled into smaller containers or smaller bottles? And then how long was it that those bottles sat on the shelf, and what temperature was the room at before they labeled them and before they shipped them to you? So there's also that factor as well. And then once you get them, how long did you let it sit? Did you let it sit in your car for 3 weeks? Did you let it sit in your hot mailbox for 3 weeks? Did you let it sit in your windowsill for 3 weeks? All of these things can affect the shelf life of the essential oil before you even open the bottle. But assuming a fairly quick turnaround and the warehouses are cooled and you are storing them properly at home, it might be easier for you to assume a shelf life since you open the bottle. But I do know, like aromatics.com, I believe their shelf life begins once it's distilled. I think that's the date that they go by. So I believe they have expiration dates on their bottles, and they, I think I have, yeah. I think they have actually expiration dates, and it is based on the, maybe it's from a number. They used to have it on their bottles. Maybe you have to actually look it up on their website. Probably. But they used to have expiration dates on them, and that was based on the distillation date. So I guess it depends on the company. Can you talk about diffusing with cats and birds? Yes, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a link. I personally don't recommend diffusing around cats. I recommend if you are diffusing, your cat should be in a separate room. You can use a personal inhaler for yourself or diffuser jewelry for yourself as long as, because that is just in your own little personal space, as long as your cat's not right up next to you. But cats lack an enzyme in their liver to properly metabolize the essential oils. So it is my opinion, being a certified clinical aromatherapist, that is not something I am comfortable saying, yes, go ahead, diffuser on your cats. That is just not something I'm comfortable with. So I could probably go on for about 3 or 4 more hours answering these questions. So I'm going to actually get off here in 2 minutes. So for those of you who are on, I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask me some questions, and then maybe I can pop on live tomorrow evening and answer more. I'm going to get right in that thread, and I'm going to start answering them by typing as well. But there's a lot of questions about cat safety around children and breastfeeding. And again, I want to mention, these questions are answered in my course. And if I don't specifically address certain things that you have questions with in the course itself, you are always free to ask me the questions in the Facebook group. The course will be released for the second time this year in either September or October. And if you want to make sure you are on that list and you don't miss out, as some of you do, and I get emails after going, can you leave it open for just another day? If you want to make sure you're one of the first to be notified, please email me and I will make sure that I let you know when it is open. Because it will have limited students. I am limiting the students so that I can make sure to give you the kind of one-on-one that you need so that you can go from beginner to a confident user. Amanda's asking, I have some essential oils from Aromatics, and I'm guessing it's the batch info on the label that we can use to look up expiration. Yes. Not sure, but thank you so much for your time. You are very welcome, Amanda. Thanks for your awesome questions. Here's the thing, guys. If you have a question, I guarantee you there are others in this group who also have the same question. So you do everyone a disservice when you don't speak up and ask. Does the course cost? Yes, the course is not free. It does have an enrollment fee attached to it. You're getting me in there, absolutely holding your hand every step of the way. What carrier oils are best for mature dry skin? Rosehip carrier oil is great for mature skin. That is the one that I would recommend. I love rosehip. And Acacia has a really great rosehip carrier oil right on Amazon. Argan oil is also good. I would say rosehip is probably my number 1 recommended one. Great questions. Okay, guys, so I'm going to get off. I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope you learned something, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.